Hi, this is Raina Rakicki from the Podcast Growth Club podcast. I joined Adam's online business academy for podcasters because I needed help not only with growing my own podcast coaching business, but also for my clients. It has been super helpful because he lays everything out into different sections and you can hyper analyze where your funnel's not working. Whether it's from your email engagement to the type of lead magnets you have. It's incredible. In addition, Adam has some rad spreadsheets that would take us hours upon hours to do ourselves, but he just hands them out to us. I can't think of anything that's better than that. Thanks so much, Adam. The Online Business Academy has been a game changer, not only for myself, but also for my clients.
Hey there, Pod Pals. Do you feel like you could use a little bit of help with your podcast launch, growth, or with converting your podcast listeners into becoming your best clients? I want you to head on over to my website, www.podcastingbusiness.school, and watch the 4-minute video that talks about who I help and exactly how I can help them out. Next, I want you to click on the Discovery Call button to set up a free podcast profit potential discovery call where we can talk about working together to help you reach your podcasting and online business goals. Head on over to my website, www.podcastingbusiness.school, and get signed up for your free podcast profit potential discovery call. What's up, Pod Pals? It's your buddy Adam. You are listening to Podcasting Business School. It's a show where I teach podcasters how to love their podcast like a hobby and build it like a business. If you're an online coach, consultant, or service provider, and you're looking to learn how to leverage your podcast to get more clients and build your online business, you're in the right place. And today, Pod Pals, I've got a very special guest. I've got Adam Dukes, aka Piss Off Boss from Threads. He is somebody I've mentioned on the show before. And he's one of my favorite people to follow on Threads. When people, I'm preaching the Threads gospel. I'm telling people to get on Threads. I'm like, follow Piss Off Boss on Threads because he just delivers. And today he's going to deliver on the show. I'm so excited about this. We're going to talk about Threads. We're talking about selling PDFs. We're going to talk about online business strategy. So Adam Dukes, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate it. That was a great introduction. I might need you every morning when I wake up to get out of that. So I appreciate that.
I'll send you a little voice note.
Exactly.
From one Adam to another. Wake up. Let's sell some stuff online. All right. So I want to dive right in, man. I kind of want to know your background into how you became this guy that's, as you put it, selling dumb PDFs and making tens of thousands of dollars a month. So how do we evolve to that position here in 2025?
Gosh, it's funny. I'm originally from Michigan, moved out to Vegas in 2006. I joke with people, I say after 25 years of gray skies and snow in April, I left for the bright lights of Sin City. And, work construction out here. That's what my degree is in. Then 08, 09 happened and the economy crashed and we all knew, we were all losing our jobs. I worked on a big casino on the Strip and then it opened at the end of 09. And then I had money saved up because, again, we knew we weren't gonna. There was no projects after that, and so I had this money saved up, and I was like, I'm gonna sit on the couch for 6 months and eat bonbons, and because I was so burned out with construction. I was working 15, 17, 18-hour days. It was salary, so like if you broke it down, I was like flipping burgers at McDonald's probably would have been better money, and I got real bored with eating bonbons after about 2 weeks, And I remember this vividly. It was February of 2010. I was on Amazon looking for a book on motivation. And I clicked on this book and I scrolled down to the reviews and it was about entrepreneurship. And I was like, oh, that's not for me. And so I scrolled back up and then there was a video of the author on the page. And I was like, because I was like, I'm not an entrepreneur. And so I click on this video and it's Gary Vaynerchuk. And it was the Crush It book that he put out. And it was his famous video about Elf and, it's from 2008. He was on stage screaming and yelling. And I was like, dude, this guy's my spirit animal. And so I bought the book. And again, I wasn't interested in entrepreneurship. I sold lemonade when I was a kid. I don't have one of those stories where it was in my blood,
Yeah.
and then I think he referenced 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss in that book. And I was like, 4-Hour Workweek sounds awesome. So I bought that. And then Tim Ferriss recommended a place called the Warrior Forum, which was like, it's still around, but it's a forum for internet marketers. And I jumped on that and I saw these people, how they were making money online and selling ebooks and courses and all that. I got involved in that and started selling like web design at very end of 2010. SEO, web design, mobile website, stuff like that. Did that for several years, up and down, good months, $0 months, or negative, with some of the stuff I was doing, software, whatever. In 2015, I got involved with Shopify. I did really well with that, selling like women's jewelry. I was miserable after like a year. I made all this money and I was like, I don't like this, I took my dad to the Masters in 2016 for his birthday. It was like a surprise birthday present. It was like a bucket list. I've always wanted to do it. And that was awesome. Paid off a bunch of debt. I didn't like go buy Jordans and stuff like that, but I was miserable. I joke around. I was sick of, it was like women's jewelry. And I said, I was sick of selling turquoise earrings to Helen in Des Moines, Iowa. That's not what God put me on this earth to do. And so I shut the store down and, floundered around digital products, affiliate marketing, other Shopify stores, probably 15 Shopify stores. Only one was successful. Never giving it enough time. If looking back on it, I thought you could do I thought I could do it in 2 weeks,
Yeah,
and,
we all do.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know. It was all a lot of that stuff like from 2015 or probably like 2017 to like last year was all like based on my name, just my personal brand. And I was kind of getting burned out the end of 2023 with it all. I wasn't doing that good either. So that was part of it, of course. But I put out a lot of content. I think I have 700 videos on YouTube. We've talked about a couple of failed podcasts, a lot of blog posts, a lot of emails, just a lot of content. And so I started up a new Instagram page last May, and I wanted to just be faceless. I was kind of like, I don't like my name out there. I don't like my face, and that lasted like 3 weeks. I was like, okay, maybe I'm a little more narcissistic than I thought. I want my face out there, And so it was called Faceless Father Freedom. That's what it started as. And then like 3 to 4 weeks into it, I switched it to Piss Off Boss, which was a domain I bought in 2016. And I've sat on it forever.
Nice.
And so I came up with Piss Off Boss. I got active. I jumped on Threads like May 30th and just kind of was peeking around. And then in June, I kind of was like, gosh, I'm really liking this Threads. It was like early day Twitter. And I wasn't big on Twitter, but I was active over there in like 2018, 19. And when Money Twitter kind of started. And I was just like, gosh, I think I can implement what I learned back then onto Threads. And that's basically all I did. Comment a lot, answer questions, be of service to people. That was what worked on Twitter in 2018, 19. It should work on Threads. It's a new platform. And that's how I did it. And I didn't looking back on it now, for the whole month of June, I just answered probably hundreds and hundreds of people's questions. I didn't sell anything. And then people started asking me, they're like, you should create an ebook. And I'm like, at the time, I had like 600 followers. I was like, maybe when I'm at like 5,000 or 2,000, I can't. And then this lady put out an ebook on how to grow on Threads, and she had 400 followers. And at the time I had 800. And that was permission. I was like,
right.
She has less followers. And she's selling an ebook, and she was selling it, and it was selling. And so I'm like, maybe I do. I mean, people are asking me for it. And so then I just threw out a post June 30th, and it was like, hey, would anybody be interested? I'm thinking about putting out this ebook. I didn't have a name for it or anything. This was on a Saturday, and I was like, I'm thinking about launching it Monday, 2 days. I don't even know the name of this thing. And the response was it blew me away. I was like, oh my God, people want this. And so I launched a checkout page Monday. I didn't have the ebook ready. I didn't even type I hadn't even opened up a Google document, And I told them that. I said, hey, this is a pre-sale. It's $10. I don't know what the name of it is. This was Sunday. And I'll have it ready Saturday. And I made $245 on Monday. And I was like, oh my God, these people are buying air. I don't even have anything yet. And then more people were buying it. And I ended up started writing it Monday night because I didn't expect that many people to buy it.
Right.
Again, it wasn't ready. And but so I was like, I should probably start writing this thing, and I ended up delivering it to him on Thursday, which was 4th of July, a couple days early. Cause I was just like so grateful that like at that point there was like 100 people that had bought air. They were buying a promise, and they trusted me with, hey, this guy's going to deliver on Saturday. He says he's going to. And so I was like, what, I'm going to try to surprise him and get it done early, and I sent it out July 4th, and then people like read it, and then they were just raving about it. And I was like, oh my, I think I'm onto something here, so yeah, that's kind of how, like, there was a lot of failures. Like I said, with the content, I pumped hundreds of thousands of pieces of content. So it wasn't just necessarily threads of like a month long on Threads. It was years of posting on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube descriptions or blog posts or emails, and so it wasn't 30 days of this turnaround,
Right.
It was a lot of failures, a lot of sleepless nights, the eviction notices, a couple of those throughout the years, and hey, you haven't paid your car in 3 months, and I mean, there was times, no joke, like I would hear a loud noise outside, like a truck, no joke, and I would run to the window fearing it was a tow truck.
Wow.
They're taking my car away, and like, that never happened, but I would get a letter, and, I'd send them $8, hey, can you give me another week type of thing, so there's a lot of those days, weeks, months,
So when you say May, we're talking May 2024?
Yes.
Oh, wow. I mean, I can't believe it, because now, like, how many followers do you have on Threads right now?
I think I had like a little over 12,000.
Yeah.
12,000. Yeah. 12,500, I think.
That's amazing. So, just the growth you've had since then, and that was Threads Unleashed that you launched.
Yes.
So that was like your core Threads training PDF. I know you've put an updated version out there. That's going now. I definitely want to dive into Threads, and I want to dive into the PDF sales concepts. I think both are applicable to our audience in our conversation today, but I think let's maybe connect the dots a little bit. I'd like to talk about like your typical person that buys a PDF from you. Like, what does that journey look like? So how are they discovering you? And then what steps are they taking to eventually like, oh, I just bought the thing? Like, how are you facilitating that?
Yeah. So most of the sales were coming from Threads. I'm a like real analytical, I'm a numbers nerd. So I track like where the sales come from and all that. So most of my sales come from Threads. It was like a 52%. But then I started running Instagram ads at the end of November. So now more of my sales are coming from Instagram now. But Instagram and Threads are the two platforms. I do have a newsletter to sign up for, but I think majority of the sales are just direct. Yeah, it's a $17 PDF, right. So kind of my thinking is, what's the point of kind of running them through an email sequence first? It's an impulse purchase. I do have a newsletter that they can jump on as well, but yeah, mainly just from kind of, they buy the PDF, whether it's Threads Unleashed 2, and then I have like a digital product challenge, which is another PDF on helping people launch digital products. And I actually created that in August of 2020, and it was called the 48-hour ebook challenge. And it was basically write an ebook in 48 hours or less. And I was on TikTok live stream, and somebody said in August of 2020, and somebody said, you should write an ebook teaching people how to make money selling ebooks. I thought it was a joke. I'm like, that's so used car salesman. Like, that's such an internet marketing thing to do. And I'm like, no. And then people were commenting on the live, like, I would buy it. And I was like, oh, that's not it. They're serious. And I was like, okay, I can do that. But I'm like, I'm going to feel dirty. Like, that just feels gross, And so I ended up coming up with this concept. I'm like, maybe if I buy it from them, if I become their first customer, that would make me feel better. It wouldn't feel as sleazy. Hey, buy my ebook on how I make money selling ebook type thing,
Yeah.
Kind of like, hey, I'll teach you how to make $100. You got to give me $100. Or 100 people got to give me $1 or whatever. And so I did that, and like, people wrote their ebook in 48 hours. Again, when I say ebook, it's like 20 to 40 pages. It's not this novel, and it's solving a specific problem for a specific person. And, that's changed names. Now it's called the Digital Product Challenge. And I don't know, like 6 or 9 months ago, a lot of people outside our space they don't know what a digital product is.
Right.
We do, you and I do. But a lot of people outside our space, like, they might have an idea, but they're not sure. And so there's a kid on Instagram. He has like a coaching program like at Etsy. He teaches people how to sell stuff on Etsy. Well, he calls it PDFs. And I was like, you know what? Everybody knows what a PDF is,
Right.
you know? And so I mean, I took it from him, you know, I should probably credit him because a lot of people come to me about PDFs. And it's what's really funny. I was just talking to my sister just right before this call, and she's not in this space at all. And she's working on her PDF now about on how to not be a bad boss or something. And she's like, for years you've talked about like ebooks, and she's like, ebooks just sound so overwhelming. Like I can't write an ebook.
True.
And she's like, but now like lately I've seen you say this PDF thing. And she's like, wait a second. And so she's like 3/4 of the way through it. And she's like, that was it. You've talked ebooks for years. And she's like, you switched it to PDF. And it's like, I've done a PDF. I've wrote a PDF before, but ebook, you think 300 pages. Oh my God, I can't do that. I'd like to do it, but I don't have the discipline. That would take me 7 years to write and complete and blah, blah, blah. But she's like, since you use PDF, she's like, wait, I can do that. And she's like, I'm having a lot of fun writing it, you know, which that was great feedback from somebody outside of our space that she, looked at PDF as, I don't want to say maybe easier or more achievable or more doable than an ebook. Sounds like so much work.
Oh man,
that's
such a great point. That's such a great point. And just for everybody listening in, like, can that apply to you? Are you using a certain term or certain language that your audience there's a disconnect, or they are thinking about it in the wrong way? PDF and ebook, same thing to our mind, but to the customer's mind, PDF. I mean, it's same, like that hit a home run with me mentally. I was like, ebook, I feel like it's got to be at least 100 pages, or it's not really an ebook. PDF, I put together PDFs all the time, and no big deal. Yeah. Now
it's funny. I still get DMs from people saying, "What is a PDF?" Though, so not everybody knows what it is. But I'd imagine a lot more people know what a PDF is than a digital product type thing.
I hope you come up with like some creative comebacks on that just made up things like.
I need to.
It's a poop desk fan or something like that.
Yeah. You don't know what a poop desk fan is? You know exactly.
You aren't making poop desk fans online. I sell them $17. Get your own PDF. Now, when you make a sale on Threads, is that coming from a direct link call to action in a post? Is it coming from the link that's in your Threads bio? A little bit of both. What's the strategy there?
Yeah, most of them are link in the bio. I track everything differently. So if I write like a long form thread, which is like kind of like a mini blog post in a sense, it's like a series of threads kind of connected together. And so I'll create a separate link for that specific long form. And so then I can say, wait a second. So like this long form got me 3 sales last week. This one got me 0. How do I write more of, how do I write more of this one? So that's why I like tracking sales. And same with the ads. I know where every sale comes from, just tracking. So I was like, oh my gosh, this reel has made me 15 sales. This one's made me 2. This one's made me 0. I need to just create reels like this, so that's a big reason why I track it. I can just double down, quadruple down on what's working. But in my tracking, most of it's from the link in the bio. But yeah, there's a handful of, if I reply in a comment, I have a different link for that. So I can see, okay, my comments are generating sales. But yeah, I would say the far majority, 60 to 70% are from just clicking the link in the bio.
Okay, and the link in the bio is direct to a sales page. It's not like to your link tree.
It's a link tree style. It's got 3 offers in there. Okay. I'm really big on like, I should probably just sell one thing, like really like don't give them choices. And I sometimes get mad at myself that 3 is too many choices. Yeah. Yet I'll see people with like 48 choices. It's like, oh my gosh. Especially since it's Threads, that makes sense selling something on Threads. They're on Threads already. So that's kind of like a little cheat code there. I'm selling something on the platform that I'm on. And that's where I got the idea. There was a couple guys I followed years ago on Twitter, and they had an ebook, how to make $100 a day on Twitter. Well, we're on Twitter. I don't know how to make, it made sense, So I'm like, I'm just going to kind of model what these guys did. Again, back to the Twitter thing and it being so similar. But yeah, right now it's got Threads Unleashed 1, Threads Unleashed 2 in the digital product challenge. Ironically, I launched Threads Unleashed 2 in October, and then I just added it into the funnel of Threads Unleashed 1. It was an upsell. It makes sense. You buy it was like Threads Unleashed 1, I've sold over 1,000 times. The checkout page converts. I get 250 testimonials. Like the social proof is there.
Right.
So I might well sell that because it's cheaper, because Threads Unleashed 2 is 47. And then I'll upsell them into Threads Unleashed 2. Well, that's what I did in like November. Well, then like a lady made a post on Threads and was like, has anyone noticed that Adam isn't selling Threads Unleashed 2? And then like people commented and they're like, yeah, he must not believe in it. And I was selling it. It just, I wasn't selling it, and I was selling it in the funnel, but nobody saw that unless you went through the funnel, so then I was like, shoot, I got to I don't want them to think like I don't believe in it, but that's what they were saying. And it was multiple comments, and I switched it right then and there. I still sell it in the funnel.
Right.
But I'm like, dude, I have to add it into my link. I don't want people to think like, oh, he doesn't believe in the product, because it was like 2 weeks after I launched it, and so I was like, shoot, I need to, so I added it back in, to my storefront, so to speak,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So that's a good word for like that type of a bio link, like a storefront link of behold 3 things that you can do to pay.
Yes.
So can you give me an example of when you would drop that sales link to somebody that you're, in a back and forth conversation? Are these people that are commenting on your post, or are these people that you dive into their conversation and answer some questions, have a little back and forth, drop the link? Like, maybe are both those scenarios happening, or is it mainly on your own post comments?
I'm not kidding when I probably commented. I don't think 10,000 is a far-fetched number. I've probably left 10,000 comments over the last 8 months. It's like 150, 200 a day. Now, all of them aren't detailed comments. A lot of them are just emojis. I'm just acknowledging, I appreciate whatever. I don't think I've ever dropped a link on a comment on somebody else's page,
Right.
unless they specifically said. And I still don't think I've dropped a link. I'll say, check out my bio. Very, very rarely do I pitch.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever pitched on somebody else's page. Now, if it's on my page and they say, what's Threads Unleashed, or where can I find it? Yeah, I'll drop the link.
Okay.
If it's on my profile, but I'm not doing it on somebody else's profile. And I very, even commenting on other people's stuff, I just made a post about this last night. I don't think it's probably 0.0001% where I've ever said DM me and or check the link in my bio if it's on somebody else's profile.
Right.
My approach to commenting is just help as much as I can in that 500 character space that we have.
Right.
If they want more, they know to click my profile. They don't need it. They'll click my profile, or the link in the bio, blah, blah, blah.
So one of your threads that I read really, it sparked an idea in me. I started doing this. You talk about how you have kind of like common responses and you save them and you just copy and paste them to save time. You're like, this is really helpful. It's really good. I save this a lot. So I copy and paste this when I'm like, with me, people ask about podcast growth. Like, how do you grow your show? Well, here's a post where I break down 5 ways to grow your podcast or whatever. And so copy and paste. So I love that idea. Are you saving all of your threads content somewhere? Like, how are you organizing it for, okay, this was a winner, I need to reuse this one, things like that? How are you saving and curating that?
So usually like once a month I'll go. So with that, like copy and paste, I just have like a Google sheet, and I have one of, I'm new to digital marketing, I need help. I want to sell digital products, I don't know how. I'm new to threads, I don't know what to do. I need tips, tricks, advice. And it's like usually 5 or 6 bullet points, and I just go to Google Docs and I copy it, and I've said, I've made a couple dollars. Here's what's worked for me. No call to action at the bottom. So that's how I do that. I just lost my train of thought on the next one.
So with your general posts, are you taking those, saving them, and reusing them?
Yes, my bad. So I will go through and scroll my feed. Usually like once a month, I'll look at the previous month. And my benchmark for me is anything over 100 likes. I just copy the text and I have it in a Google document. And all of my long forms, again, kind of like mini blog posts, I take the URL and I have that in a Google spreadsheet. And then anytime I need to write a long form, I'll usually just open the spreadsheet. And a lot of times I just copy and paste what I used in June or September or even December, and I'll change the hook or update some of the numbers. If I'm sharing numbers, I gained, in September, it might've been 9,000 followers. Now it's how I gained 12,000 followers, in X amount of days. And then I use a scheduling app. It's called Black Twist. So that's I use a lot. Like I
I've
really
heard
love
about
that.
this.
Yeah. And so they have calendar, they have a calendar. So I can go look at September, what I posted in September, what I posted via the app, but not all of my threads, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times I'll just go through, I'll have two windows open, Black Twist and Black Twist. One is the calendar feature. One is like the scheduling feature. And I'll just go through September and copy paste, or change the wording a little bit, stuff like that.
Yeah. I like that because I've been saving all of my posts in like a Evernote document.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I like saving the winners.
Yes,
that makes more sense because right now I'm like, let's go through all these and one. I make little notes. Like I'm still learning hooks and things like that. But every once in a while I'll nail one. I'm like, that did 14,000 views. I need to do something like that again because that worked really well.
Yep.
Well, embarrassingly enough, one of my most popular threads I ever posted had nothing to do with podcasting. It was, is 2025 the year where I finally get rid of my iPhone 8 with a little home button at the end? And people, it exploded with commentary.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe that was a mistake getting all that engagement on that one. Now I've got all this iPhone chatter on my feed.
Yes.
So won't do that again. But okay. So mistakes on threads, like, how are people screwing it up? Like, in the theme of like, I posted something, I got a lot of engagement that maybe wasn't the type of engagement that I wanted on a topic that I didn't want, but how are people messing threads up? Like, what errors are you seeing? Like, ooh, that makes me kind of throw up my mouth a little bit when I see people doing this.
Some, it just, I have a few phrases that I use. One is make more offers. I find most entrepreneurs just don't make enough offers. As simple as that sounds, making an offer is invitation to buy something, or even join your newsletter, download your lead magnet, whatever. That's an offer as well. So I find that's a big mistake. However, the flip side is true too. I find some people on threads, you scroll 10 posts and 8 of them are sales pitches, and then, and somebody, because a lot of these people will buy Threads Unleashed, which I don't teach that in Threads Unleashed. And then they'll DM me on Instagram. They're like, Adam, Threads Unleashed doesn't work. I was like, let me check out your profile. And I'll scroll their profile. I'm like, whoa. Where'd you think of, you've got 17 followers, your last 10 posts, 8 of them were sales pitches, what do you mean it's not working? So I think some people are very overly promotional, promote too often. But I think more, or they don't promote enough. I mean, I had a lady the other day, she commented, she says, I don't want to burn my audience out. And that's a common thing. I get it. But like on Threads, Twitter's the same way. That feed moves so fast. Like you could post something at 7:18 in the morning. You could probably post the same thing you could make an offer at 7:18 and 7:32, 15 minutes later or whatever. And most of the people aren't going to see it again, because they're checking in real quick. If they're in the bathroom or a smoke break, real quick, they scroll. Obviously some people spend hours scrolling, but like the feed moves so fast. I forgot the percentage. It's like 2 to 4% of your audience sees the post pretty much across social media in general, so I find a lot of entrepreneurs just don't make enough offers. So that's a big one. The hooks, I think that's probably 90% of it is hooks. And I've just noticed a change in like the last year or so. And I got this from Hormozy. I didn't come up with it, but I remember him saying it. And he just said, instead of how-to content, say how I. And I've really doubled down on that, quadrupled down on that, and that's worked really well, instead of, I don't know, I think people are kind of getting burned out with teaching them how to do things. And now it's just kind of like, hey, this is what I'm doing. It's funny. I'll share how I do something and people are like, that's not the best way to do it. Or that's stupid. This is what I'm doing.
Right.
If you want to do it, that's great. If you don't want to do it, I'm not saying it's the best way, the most efficient. It's the best way for me. And if you want to take pieces of it and use it, feel free. If you want to just keep scrolling, that's fine too. I'm not trying to convince you that, hey, this is the way. This is what I'm doing, and it's working for me. And I think like most of my threads, like the bigger ones, most of them, I lead with I. Like I'll whip up something real quick, on my phone at the couch, and then I'll spend like 2 or 3 minutes. Like, how can I lead with I? Like, it doesn't really make sense. Like some of my posts, like, wait, that didn't make sense, but I try to find a way to lead with I. Like, I can't believe this. I think I'm crying. I mean, just weird things, but it catches people's attention, which is crazy because if you know anything about copywriting, we've always been taught that, you.
Right.
But I just think I don't know, social media has shifted in the last year. People
That's interesting.
Trying to get talked to. Or talk
for
to.
those, for those of you listening in, so from how to how I, an example would be how to double your podcast downloads versus how I doubled my podcast downloads in 2024.
Yes.
So like that, I've seen you doing that. And I've seen you talking about that, and it makes so much sense. And I started to implement that, and I saw the result. Like I started to say like, ooh, like this is, I'm big on expert positioning with my brand. Like, like I told you before, I do 2/3 of my content are solo episodes and coaching style episodes, and 1/3 I do interviews, and that's on purpose because to establish expert positioning. And I feel like that seems to be part of the magic that you just talked about on Threads with we were showing how we personally do things, and that's coming through. So I saw you talking about that. I was like, oh, this makes sense. Now, I have also seen you talk about sell every day, selling, sell something every day. Is that on Threads? Is that sell via your email list? Both? What do you mean? Like sell something every day? What is Adam Dukes doing? How
like I
doing
said, my kind of quote that I was make more offers.
Make more offers. There you
go. Make more offers, meaning sell one. And I'm not saying multiple products. A lot of people get confused with that. I mean, just whatever you sell that one thing every day. So I probably I would guesstimate 2 to 3 times a week on Threads, like a direct pitch, like direct in my feed pitch, not a comment reply or anything, but like a direct pitch, probably 2 to 3 times a week. Instagram stories, I do it daily. And then I send out like a daily-ish email, 5 to 7 days a week. And then just at the very bottom of the email, it's like 3 ways I can help you. So it's kind of like a soft pitch. It's not like an overtly like buy now, it's going to expire tomorrow. It's an ebook. And the shelf, there's only 10 on the shelf, or whatever, the fake scarcity stuff. So I'll say like, it's just a soft pitch at the bottom. I'll tell a story, a lesson, an aha moment in my emails. And then at the bottom, they have a choice. Like that doesn't generate a ton of sales, but I am making an offer every day,
right?
Somewhere. It's not, I'm not making an offer every single day on Threads, but that'd probably burn the audience out. But there's somewhere where I'm making an offer. I think Instagram stories, you can get away with making an offer every day. Because again, it's, you can post 5 to 50 Instagram stories, and again, that it's similar to the Threads feed. It moves fast. A lot of people post probably 5 to 15 stories a day. And if you're following a bunch of people, that adds up quickly, and you kind of clicking through it, So that's what I mean by make an offer, at least somewhere,
Okay. And I've heard you talk about email, and recently you showed a screenshot of somebody's response to one of your emails. And I was like dying laughing. If you guys only want entertainment on Threads, just follow Piss Off Boss just for these like screenshots, because they are great. And I was like, oh my God, that's a hilarious response. So is that almost daily email? Is that in like a newsletter format? Is that in just like a tip of the day format? What does that email cadence look like?
It's like probably 300 words, 300 to 500, probably closer to 300 most days. It's pretty short, obviously 300 words. I forgot, I read this years ago, but the average human reads 300 words a minute. So it's about a 1 to maybe 2 minute read, 1 to 1.5 really. It's just something that's happened to some aha moment yesterday. So my significant other went to Alaska yesterday for 30 days to help her aunt out. And we have 2 kids, a 9 and 11-year-old. And so I wrote an email, and the subject line was, I'm scared. And I was talking about, I've got to be kind of mommy and daddy for the next 30 days. She cooks the food and gets the kids ready for lunch, school and home. She does the homework and stuff. And like, I'm going to have a much, much, much deeper appreciation than I do now, for her, like, oh my, and so it was an email about that. And then I talked about, I tied it into business, that sometimes you don't feel ready, you don't feel prepared, and so I tied it into business. And so oddly enough, I got that guy responded yesterday saying you're an effing idiot, or I don't know, quit sending this stupid
it's
email.
like by clickbaity hook email subject lines or whatever. I was like, oh my God, this is hilarious.
Yeah. And so here's another response, just because I have my email open from the same email. I love receiving your emails. They resonate with me so much. And it's like you're there talking to me. Keep sending this golden SHIT because it's the best. I had 3 positive responses and then that guy from the same email, and it's just kind of funny how people, and who knows, maybe this guy's in Southern California and in the house fires and stressed out about,
right.
We have no idea what these people are going through. Maybe his boss called and said, here's your 2-week notice, or whatever it is, and he's just having a bad day and he took it out on me, but it's just interesting to get email responses from people that are so vastly different. I got people saying, thank you, keep sending. And then some guy saying, you idiot, quit sending,
So with your email list, I assume you're leveraging Threads to grow your email list.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going about that? Because you get your link in your bio for your offers and things like that, your offer storefront. How are you leveraging Threads to get people on the email list now?
Yep. So my link in bio just has 3 paid products. That's it. Just 3 Threads Unleashed 1 and 2 in the Digital Product Challenge. And then I use Black Twist again to schedule out my newsletter promotion. And I promote it once a day. I try to promote it once a day. Sometimes I forget, but most times I do it once a day, sometimes in the morning, sometimes in the afternoon, sometimes in the evening. And I have like a Google sheet with like probably 15 different calls to action promoting my newsletter. So it's always something different, well, at least over the course of like 15 days. And I try to use some humor, I
always
start with, yeah, exactly.
You always tie that in. It's great.
Yeah. And so that's how I promote like the email list is on the feed. But the email list is not in the link in bio. So basically, I guess you could say is like, I never really thought of it like this. Like the link in bio is where the paid products are. The feed is basically, again, occasionally I do promote on the feed, but not that often. I promote the lead magnet much more. Yeah. And I look at that as an offer too. I'm making an offer, which is an invitation to join my newsletter. And for years I used lead magnets and stuff like that. And I'm not saying that's bad. And then I follow this Mike guy on Threads. He's like the newsletter guy. And he talked about in September, he just on Threads, he shared like, you might not get as many opt-ins to a newsletter page because it's not like as sexy, as a lead magnet, but you're going to get a more engaged list because they're signing up because of who you are, not because of the lead magnet. And I never looked at it like that. And I was like, that's a really good idea. And so I put it to the test and I launched a newsletter in October and I think I've got like 600 people on it now. And it converts at 46%, the landing page, which is good with a lead magnet. And this doesn't have a lead magnet, so it's like these people are opting in because they want to hear more from me. It's not the landing page is sexy or anything. It's more of the branding and the content that I put out. There's another lady on Instagram. She says, be the lead magnet. Like my content is the lead magnet essentially, And so I started doing that in October and I've like documented that and shared the results. I'm like, it's better engagement, better open rates, because those people want to be there. They didn't jump on it because I shared 5 hacks to hack the Threads algorithm or something.
Right.
They know who I am and they want to hear more from me.
Yeah. And Adam is referring to Mike Romaine, who is the newsletter guy.
Yes.
On Threads. Yes. And I've mentioned Mike and his newsletter strategies a lot on the show. And I've begged Mike to come on the show, and he is a hermit and an introvert, and he will not come on the podcast.
Oh, yes.
So I'll keep working on him, pals. We'll eventually get Mike Romaine on here.
It's funny. So Mike and I have had some disagreements on some things on how I do things. And I thought like, I unfollowed him after a while because I felt like he was just kind of trying to pick on me. We just had difference of opinions, but he was saying like, "Oh, you're doing your audience a disservice," And then, but he kept commenting on my stuff, and then I noticed he followed me, and I really do like his stuff. I like his perspective. I like how he does things. He's been very successful with the fitness business before, and now this newsletter, and I like his style. And so now we follow each other and all that. And I guess maybe it was just I was having a bad day, and I was like, I'm just going to unfollow him. But it's like that's the thing. Like I have a way of doing things, he's like, oh, you're doing your, he's always saying, oh, you're teaching people how to sell PDFs too cheap. You're doing them a disservice. And I was like, a lot of it is, it's not about the money. It's the confidence, just putting something out there for $10 and just getting a couple of customers, and you feel that confidence and that momentum. And then you increase the price, you get testimonials, and it's a process. And I was like, that's just what I've done. It's worked for me. Mike, I'm not saying it's the best way or whatever, but it's worked for me. It's worked for others, It's just, we had a difference of opinions, that was it.
Yeah. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. Little healthy banter, a slight unfollow period. And then you come back together, and now you're frolicking on the Threads streets again.
And now he sells the Threads guide. So he's selling the Threads guide too, And so,
yeah. So, I feel like I love leading with the newsletter as the lead magnet. I told you before we started recording, I've released a newsletter every single week since 2018. Like I'm very consistent with myself.
Yeah.
Got a good list, a good open rate.
Yep.
So with Threads, two things, and they have to do with links, and they have to do with Black Twist. So you put up a post, and do you immediately just link directly to your newsletter link right then and there? Does that impact the reach? Because we all know how I'm very link phobic. Like back in the day, Facebook, it's like I got to put it in the first comment, an hour later, sort of a thing. So any thoughts on that? And then also, does Black Twist, that non-native posting, does that impact reach?
I don't care about either of those, and I'll explain why. I'm building a business. I need to make money. Because a lot of people ask me, especially the first question, they're like, how do you notice your reach? I've never looked at it, my reach being lower with posting a link. Most times when I post a link, it's deep down. Usually it's on a long form thread. Yeah. But I do with the newsletter, it's just an open. I'm building a business. I need email subscribers. I need to post a link to get email subscribers, or post a link for them to buy something. It might hurt the reach. But how am I going to get email subscribers? How am I going to make sales? So that's kind of how I look at it. I'm sure it probably does, just like every other platform. Like you said, the trick of the Facebook, the first comment and all that. And, I'm sure it probably does, but I need to put people on my email list, and I need to make sales. And then the Black Twist, I haven't noticed. I haven't looked though. So let's just say hypothetically, it reduced my reach, even if it was 50%, just hypothetically. The amount of time that app saves me from having to manually do it all day, every day, I don't care if it reduces my reach 98%. I mean, maybe 98% wouldn't be. That's too much, But if it did, let's say 20 to 50%, the amount of time, which leads to peace of mind, that's worth it. I haven't looked at it. Maybe partially the reason I haven't looked at it, because I'd be sad. The difference in manually posting and then what Black Twist shows. But I would say 70% of my posts are from Black Twist. And I haven't noticed anything significant. I'm sure it's something, but I haven't noticed anything significant. But yeah, it's the peace of mind. It saves me a ton of time. I mean, literally with, like I said, that Google sheet with my 15 call to action for my newsletter, and then I open up Black Twist, I can, honest to God, schedule out my newsletter pitches for the week. It doesn't even take me 2 minutes for the entire week. I know I'm pitching my newsletter every single day. It takes me 2 minutes on Sunday to just schedule that out. Copy paste. And again, it's a different call to action. So it's not like I'm saying, join my newsletter. There's different ones. Sometimes I lead with a problem, and I plug my newsletter as the solution. Sometimes I lead with a desire, basically saying, hey, do you want this desire? Join my newsletter type thing, that's been working really well. And then I continually add to that Google document, in 6 months from now, I have 30 different calls to action, and some of them I don't use anymore because I'm like, you know what? I don't really like the sound of that,
I'm sold on Black Twist. I'm saving all these posts, that the copy paste, schedule, organize. Oh, that just speaks to my heart, Adam. That's I love all that. And then, people, when my listeners, I'm beating the Threads drum. I've been beating that drum for a while. I'm like, you gotta check this out. You gotta check this out. Might not be for you, but it might be for you. And I'm getting a lot of engagement over there right now. Yep. And they go, okay, well, how often are you posting? I go, well, I usually post at least 3 times a day. And they're like, oh my God. Yes. I go, even without this Black Twist thing, I'm like, but each post is 30 seconds. It's not like an Instagram reel. Like one of my most successful threads was I could spend 60 minutes dancing around, pointing at things that don't exist in the air, creating an Instagram reel that four people, including my mom, hit the heart button.
Yes, 100%.
Or I can, take 30 seconds 3 times a day and post something on Threads and get customers. I can get email subscribers, and I can get new podcast listeners. So it's like, it's not apples to apples comparison when you're creating content for Instagram, TikTok, whatever, YouTube versus Threads. Now, how many times a day on average do you feel like you are posting?
I would say 5 to 8 posts and probably 150 comments a day. And again, a lot of my comments, most of my commenting. So when I started, I focused on commenting on other people's, and that was like a big secret to my growth, was commenting. I was getting in front of their audience. But now I get so many comments on my post, I don't have time to comment on other posts. So my growth is like really slowed down the last couple of months because I don't have time to scroll the feed. So a lot of the like I said, 150 comments, I bet you 135 of them are just like the emoji hands up, like basically saying, hey, thanks for commenting. If it warrants me to type out some words, I will. So that when I say 150 comments, that's most of them are that way. But yeah, probably 5 to 8. What I typically do is I do 2 between 5, and I don't have any data. It's a personal preference. I post 2 between 5 and 7 a.m. I'm sorry, I schedule 2 between 5 and 7 a.m. I schedule 2 between 5 and 7 at night. And then most of the other ones are just sitting on the couch, taking a walk, sitting here, whatever, just random kind of thoughts off the top of my head. And sometimes that's 1 or 2 throughout the day. Sometimes that's 15 random thoughts off the top of my head. But yeah, scheduled out, I would say probably 4, at least 4 every day. But I'm kind of scaling that back and just kind of focusing on the evenings. And again, I don't have like data that evenings are better. I just assume that people are done with work and done with the day and a little more relaxing time than in the mornings. Because sometimes I think I commented on somebody's post yesterday. I was like, I overdo it. I put out too much content. And so I repeat a lot of this stuff because I put out like a lot, and so I was like, I don't need to be as active. Plus I have 2 little kids, and like, there's a ton of dad guilt that, maybe I don't need to be commenting to 150 people every single day when I got 2 kids that I should be, reading a book to or playing with, and that's a whole other battle,
Yeah. Well, I think you're doing a tremendous job. I love following you. I appreciate all the great content that you put out there. I've got one Threads post idea for you. Only you can send this post. I can't post this because I won't get a response. I want you, this is a 2-part strategy. I want you to put up a poll that says, what percentage of all posts on Threads are created by someone sitting on a toilet? And then I want you to tag Zuck and see if you can get a response from Mark Zuckerberg. And see if he comments from his own toilet. I like that. I bet he will respond. And
that's a fun one.
I mean, it's got to be like 80+% people sitting on the toilet.
Yes.
I mean, especially for people that have a high fiber diet. I mean, that's
exactly.
You never know what you're going to get there. All right, Adam, I want to give you an opportunity to promote your website where people can go to connect with you. Obviously, follow Piss Off Boss on Threads. But if people want to pick up Threads Unleashed, where do they go? I'll put all the links in the show notes as well, but I want you to verbally command them as well.
Yeah, just on my website. That's the best spot, adamdukes.com. I'm working on redesigning it right now, but that's the best spot. It's got links to the products and that, or like you said, like Adam said, Piss Off Boss on Instagram and Instagram and Threads. I'm losing what we're talking about. Instagram and Threads, that's the best place. But the thing, real quick, like you said, like posting 3 times a day on Threads, like it's a lot of just off the top of your head. It's not this deep strategy like you need on like Instagram, and you got to remember, like Threads is just, you're just typing words. Like Instagram, you have to do like stories, you have to do reels, you have to do captions. Like that's 3 individual skill sets. That's a lot. Threads is basically like just thumbs and sharing your thoughts. Like my strategy is so like loose. Like I don't have like a content calendar. I mean, I somewhat try to do, but like it's Most of it's just off the top of my head. If that post resonated, I'm going to talk about that more over the coming days. And if it didn't resonate, then I'm not going to talk about it. And if it did resonate pretty well, I'm going to go create an Instagram reel and possibly an email from it. So I look at Threads as almost like a petri dish where I just throw out ideas. Oh, that one resonated. I'm going to turn that. How can I expand that, turn that into an email or an Instagram reel or Instagram stories, but it's a whole lot easier just kind of throwing ideas out there, and one kind of catches fire and you're like, okay, I can repurpose this in other places. So that's kind of how I look at it. It's like a trickle down effect. It starts with Threads, and then, okay, these, out of 10 posts, one did well. I can turn that into an email. I definitely can turn that into a reel or a story, or Facebook or LinkedIn, whatever platform, but it kind of starts with Threads. It's much, much easier to just kind of share your thoughts. And if the market likes it and engages with it, double down on it, turn it into a longer form, different type of, heck, it could be a podcast episode on literally one thread,
Exactly. That's exactly what I've been doing. Like I have a few home run threads that went really well. I'm like, this is my next podcast episode topic.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. That's absolutely. You might as well just throw it out there. And instead of recording 10 podcast episodes and going, okay, one resonated, throw out 10 Threads posts that take you a half hour. Okay, this one resonated. It'll probably do well on the podcast.
Yeah, exactly right. Ladies and gentlemen, Adam Dukes. You got to follow Piss Off Boss. You got to just absorb his content, engage with him, post the comments. So he puts the diamond hands up for you.
Yeah.
The emoji. And that means that, you've been acknowledged by the people.
Yes.
All right, Pod Pals, I appreciate you tuning in. I will have all the important links in the show notes. You can connect with Adam and check out Threads Unleashed, Volume 1 and 2. Great content, great stuff. I feel like if you've been Threads curious, we may have won you over today to at least get on the platform and start posting and trying it out. And just like podcasting, we don't quit podcasting after 9 episodes. You don't post 2 threads and go, BS, this didn't work. You got to stay consistent. Let's get some threads out there. Follow what Adam is doing. Use that as a template for an inspiration for your own content. And let's give it an honest 28 days. So, all right, Adam, I appreciate you coming on today, man.
Yes. Thank you, man. I really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you very much.
All right, Pod Pals. With that, I'm going to send you out into the world wishing you health, happiness, and many downloads. I will see you on the next episode. If you need a little bit of help with your podcast launch, growth, or monetization strategy, head on over to my website, www.podcastingbusiness.school, and get signed up for a free podcast profit potential discovery call. During this free 20-minute discovery call session, I'm going to analyze your podcasting brand and tell you where I think you're missing on an opportunity for profits. Next, I'm going to tell you exactly what I suggest that you do as your next step. If I've got an offer that would help you accelerate the process, we can discuss working together as well. So head on over to my website, www.podcastingbusiness.school, and click on the Discovery Call button to schedule your free Podcast Profit Potential Discovery Call.